Okay, welcome to part 2 of Minecraft Diaries recap, season 3, whatever this series is called, I don't know. This is the last episode of this. I know, sad. End of a era, to a 2-year era. End of a 2-year era, guys, I know. So it's like, what are you going to listen to while you do your homework or house chores or anything else that you're doing while you watch this? I don't know. Comment down below what you're doing. Studying or whatever. I don't know. Reading a book. What are you doing? Or maybe some of you are just watching this and you get to watch me play with my hair for 2 hours. So this is the last episode of it. It's really sad, but don't worry. I will still be talking about other things on this channel. I love talking. I have no one to talk to. Don't worry, I'll still be here. The next thing you can comment down below ideas of what you want me to talk about. I have a few ideas of what I want to do. The next one is going to be a Minecraft roleplay. It is going to be a Minecraft roleplay called Once Upon a Time. If you do not know that roleplay, I kind of talked about it in the last part. If you didn't see the last part, why the hell are you watching this part? It is Minecraft roleplay called Once Upon a Time, and it's from the classic Minecraft roleplay era, so like early Minecraft roleplay, like decade ago roleplay, you know what I mean? Like there's 3 eras of roleplays. There's like the classical era, and then there's like, I call it the pre-COVID era, and then there's the post-COVID era. That's the way I section them off. I don't know why, that's what comes to my brain. Anyways, so it's from the classical era. It's from literally like almost a decade ago, and it was inspired by Minecraft Diaries. It's not the same story at all. You know, sometimes there's inspirations with the same stories. It's not really that similar. I love it. I go back and watch it all the time. Not as much as Minecraft Diaries, but what I'm saying is, if you like Minecraft Diaries, you will love Minecraft Once Upon a Time. I highly recommend you watch it. It's from a YouTube channel called Jazzicalness. She does not post anymore. Or if you don't want to go watch it and you want to wait like a week or 2 for me to talk about it, you don't have to pay attention and can put me on as background noise. I mean, I'm not opposed to that either. But just so you know, the next one's called Minecraft Once Upon a Time, and you will really like it if you like Minecraft Diaries. Don't leave me. I mean, I also wouldn't be opposed to talking about Minecraft Diaries Rebirth. Wouldn't be opposed to that either. I actually really enjoyed that story before it like got canceled. Yeah, and also comment down below anything else you want to talk about. I'm not solely going to be talking about Minecraft roleplays on here. There's one thing I definitely want to talk about. You know that game Episode? I was an Episode fanatic when I was a kid. Okay, Episode fanatic. So I will be talking about Episode in one of the upcoming things. I have already been planning it. I will be talking about Episodes, so if you like Episode, you can watch that. A lot of this is just going to be me talking about nostalgia stuff. Anyways, let's move on. So stay tuned, don't leave me. And watch Minecraft Once Upon a Time. Cool, awesome, cool. So, let's get started. Like and subscribe. Come on. These take a while to make. I'm tired and I'm hungry, but I'm putting myself through this to entertain you. Like and subscribe. We left off with Maou passing out on the ground for episode 19. Now we're on episode 20. So episode 20, we get a shot of Haley seeing Maou passed out. She runs out of a house. I don't know if it's her house. She runs out of a house and goes to get Maou. She, passed out on the ground, and she gets a Irene flashback, and it's her going around healing everybody from a battle, a fight. I don't know. I don't remember. Why are you asking me? She's going around healing people, and then she's kind of like, she's overdoing it. She's overusing her healing powers. So she goes into the forest to kind of like calm down and get away from everybody. And everyone's like, go calm down. Go take a break. So she goes in the woods to take a break. But then she hears like a man grunting. And she's like, what the hell is that? And it's Shad. And he is on the ground, injured. So Irene's like, I'm going to go over and heal him. So she goes over and heals Shad. And then she passes out on the ground. And Shad's like, he like picks her up. And he's like, well, she didn't heal me. I can't leave her on the ground. That would kind of be rude. So he picks her up and takes her home. Now, Maou wakes up and is like, yo, what happened? And Haley's like, I don't know what happened. I found you. Do you know what happened? She was like, no, I don't know what happened. If I knew what happened, I wouldn't be asking what happened. And so then she kind of explains to Haley everything that's been going on, everything I talked about in part 1. She explains to Haley. And Haley's like, oh, gee willikers, that's a lot going on. And then Maou gives her kind of like a pep talk about being a lord, because she's like, yeah, I know, like, your whole village just got destroyed, but you're so strong and powerful, Haley. Whenever she gives advice, I just find it funny, because like she's like the perfect lord. I don't know. Anyways, let's move on. Haley takes her to the village and is just like, look at all of this destruction. And she talks about a neighboring village that we've never heard of called Skystead. And Skystead has been helping a lot with the refugee camp, providing tents, water, food. They were on really good trading terms before all of this even happened. And in fact, the Lord Jana, wants Haley to marry her son. And Aphmau's like, marry? And we all know Aphmau's opinion on marriages. we all know her opinion on marriages. Okay, stay strong. So she's like, do you even know anything about this guy? And Haley's like, I know he's cute and he likes cats. And Aphmau's like, well, you can't marry somebody you don't know. And Haley's like, yeah, I know. Aphmau's like, what does Lucinda think of this? And Haley's just like, oh, Lucinda left like a week before the Shadow Knights invaded. I have no clue where she is. And then Aphmau's like, shit, well, I'm looking for her. Do you want to help me look for her? And Haley's like, yeah, okay, I can help you look for her. So then they go to Lucinda's house to kind of look for clues on where she would have gone, because where'd she come from? Where did she go? Where'd she come from? Cotton Eye Joe? We don't know where she is. So while they're looking around, there are voices coming from the bottom of Lucinda's house, and it is Skystead soldiers, and they are asking for Haley to come with them to go to Skystead. Episode 21, Aaron and Aphmau's relationship. So we get a shot of going into another portal and exiting another portal, and Shad is beating up Jean, and he's like, okay, one, why the hell did you fuck around with your brother so much? Like, that is not what I sent you to do. And 2, you didn't bring back Zayn or the fragment. The two, those are the 2 things I asked you to do, and you didn't even do one of them. And he's like, my bad, I'm sorry. So Shad decides he's going to go through the portal, and he's just going to go do it himself. But the issue is he can't survive outside of the Nether that long, because he needs the fragment to make himself more powerful. So he exits into the overworld, and he's like, my relic, I can feel it, but it's suppressed by magic. So Aphmau goes to Skystead, and she's like asking around, like, oh my god, if someone was taken by guards, where would they go? If someone was taken by guards, where would they go? And people are like, the guard station. So Aphmau goes to the guard station, and she starts talking to the guard, and she's like, I'm looking for my friend. She's like pale, with like hair and blah blah blah. She's like describing Haley, and he's like, man, no one's been in it, like, people have been coming in and out of here. It's been crazy since Lord Haley arrived. And she's like, that's literally who I'm looking for. And he was like, well, you didn't say that. And she's like, okay, where is she? I need to go find her. And he's like, oh, probably the Lord's house. So Aphmau barges in and says, I object to this marriage. And everyone's just in there confused. And Lord John is like, what marriage? Who are you? Like, what is happening? Like, you're going to jail now. And Haley's like, no, that's my maid Apple. She is just so helpless without me. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry she came in and disturbed you. Like, she's just a helpless little butterfly. And Lord John is like, okay. And she was like, well, we need to stay on schedule, and you need to get You need to get ready to go on a date with my son. So Haley and Aphmau go upstairs, and Aphmau's like, what is a date? And Haley's like, it's like a ritual that people go on before they get married and have babies. And she was like, well, you've been on dates before, right, Aphmau? Like, you've had men in your lives. I mean, what did you and Aaron do when you were alone? And she was like, train. And Haley's like, okay, like, what did you do? Like, what training did you do? And she was like, with swords. And then it just becomes an entire innuendo, like 3 minutes of innuendos, essentially. And Haley's like, oh, was his sword sharp? Did he pierce you with his sword? And I was like, we're moving on from this conversation, okay? And Haley's like, okay, but like, what do I what do I wear? And then she like pulls out this dress, and she was like, this is like a backup dress I had, because like right now she's wearing like this outfit. And then Aphma was like, no, if you're doing what me and Aaron used to do, you're gonna need this. And then she pulls out armor and gives it to Haley. So they go on the date, and then Aphma's like, so like, what do you have planned? And Boulder, the name of the Lord's son, is like, oh, a picnic. And then Haley's like, oh, that sounds nice. So then they go on their picnic, and Aphma hides in the bushes, and they start talking about like the weather. And then Boulder's like, I'm not the Lord yet. I went hunting yesterday, and I think I have a rash from it. And Haley's like, I'm gonna go over there for a second. And then she runs over to Aphma and is like, what the hell do I talk about? Like, this guy's so boring to talk about. What do I talk about? And she was like, I don't know. You said he likes cats. Talk to him about that. So Haley goes back, and she was like, so I heard you like cats. And he was like, I mean, yeah, I kind of like cats. My mom likes cats more than I like cats. But she likes to hide under she likes to pretend that I like cats more than her. But you would know stuff about pretending, right? And Haley's like, what are you talking about? What do you mean I know stuff about pretending? And he was like, well, you're a witch, right? Like I've heard rumors that you're a witch. Are you a witch? And Haley's like, hold on 1 second. And then she runs over to Aphma. She's like, what do I do? He's asking if I'm a witch. I don't know if I want to tell him I'm a witch. And then Aphma's like, be who you are for your pride. Well, like, okay, essentially she tells Haley, like, tell him, I mean, he's gonna be your future husband, I guess. So Haley goes over, and she's like, yeah, I'm a witch. And he's like, whoa, that's cool. And they begin to chat again, and then Aphma continues to watch, but then she hears a rustle in the bush behind her, and guess who it is? It's Shad. Shad appears. Episode 22, Aaron. So it starts off where we left off with Aphma, and Aphma's like, this is a terrible time. Why is this happening right now? And he goes to hit her. She dodges, and then they kind of like begin to fight and clash. And then it cuts to Haley and Boulder. And Haley looks over and sees all of this happening, and she's like, what the heck? I'm the one that's supposed to be on the date. Why is Aphma having a more successful date than me? And then Boulder's like, that's not a date. They're fighting. And Haley's like, oh my god, I gotta go help. So Haley stands up, and then he like grabs her, and she's like, what are you doing? And then he like knocks her out, and he's like, I gotta tell my mom a witch before people figure out. So then he takes her away, but Aphma doesn't see this because she's too busy fighting Shad. I don't know why I paused in that. She's too busy fighting Shad. So she's like, I need to save Haley's date. So then she runs and starts to lead him away. Then Shad goes on this like giant monologue about how like, Irene, you think you're the people's princess, everyone loves you, but they don't know the real you. You're evil, you've killed so many people, you're an awful human being, nobody knows the real you. And Aphma's like, I'm not Irene. And that scares you because you don't know who I am or what I can do, but I'm not Irene. And then he like pins Aphma against a tree and is like, you're sassy. Irene's never been sassy. And she's like, because you don't know who I am. And then he was like, I don't know who you are, but this body does. And then he like looks down and looks up, and he's got these big old puppy dog eyes, and his voice changes to Aaron's voice, and he starts talking to Aphma. She's like, you're not him. He's gone. You're not him. You can't be him. He's gone. And then he's like, but I'm here. And then Aphma hugs him, and she's like, but you're not him. You're not him. And they're like holding hands, and he's like, we were lovers once, and we have a child together. And Aphma's like, we were more than lovers. And he was like, and we can be more than that. Just bring me to our daughter, Irene. And then Aphma like pushes him back and is like, you're a monster. And he's like, well, also you're a monster too. I'm not the only monster here, Irene. You are also a monster. You are a terrible person, and people need to see like that you are a terrible person. And then he goes to strike her, but then he like freezes. So he's like this. He's really close to striking her, and he freezes. And Aphma's like, what the fuck? And then like under his breath, like she hears a grumble that sounds like Aaron, and it's like, Aphma, run. And then she's like, what the heck? And then she runs away. She goes back to the picnic area to, see how Haley's doing on her date, and she's gone. And then it cuts back to Shad, and he finally breaks free, but then he starts like biting with himself and teleports away, I'm assuming back to the Nether. And my assumption's right because he is back in the nether. I don't know why I said I'm assuming. So Maou goes to find Haley, and she finds Boulder, and they start arguing, and she's like, I'm gonna beat you up. And he's like, you're not taking her because I'm gonna beat you up. And so he pulls out this like dinky sword, and Mau's like, really? You're gonna try and beat me with that? She punches Boulder to the ground. Haley wakes up, and then they run off back to the refuge. And then Shad is now in the nether, like I said he was, and his voice starts changing back and forth really quickly between Aaron and his voice, and he's like, I need that fragment. There is a cat meowing. I'm back with my cat, and he's wet because he somehow only absorbed the moisture of his wet food on his body. What a cutie pie. What a cutie. He's adorable. Okay, bye. Then it cuts to Zayn, who sneezes. Beats me why that she included that, but then it's the end of the episode. We're steaming through these. Steam rolling. Episode 23, Aaron's Soul. So we're in Shad's brain now, and he's like yelling. He's like, come out, come out. And then Aaron's like, oh, are you looking for me? Hee. And he was like, you are not in control. I'm in control, and you gotta stop. And he's like, well, if you are in control, why are you here talking to me? Clearly, you're not, if you came in here looking for me. And then Shad's like, boo, you suck, and then teleports out of his mind. It cuts back to the lovely Zayn and Emilyn, and Zayn's like, read harder. And she's like, what does that even mean? How do I read harder? And then we get a flashback. To when Zayn was in the nether, and a bunch of Shadow Knights coming around him and being like, Shad may have gone soft on you, but we're not going soft on you. We know who you are and what you've done. Then we get a flashback of Zayn, and it's basically what I was talking about earlier, how they choose Shadow Knights, where Shad is the one who chooses them, so they're like in this limbo-esque state. Zayn is there begging for his life. He sees Aaron's body get chosen. Like, Shad's like, oh, he's perfect. And then Zayn's like all jealous, and he was like, what the heck, why is he perfect? And he was like, I'm actually perfect. You should make me a Shadow Knight. And Shad's like, I don't know. You kind of suck. And he was like, but I have information on Irene that you would want. And he was like, okay, fine, I'll bring you back as a Shadow Knight. And then he comes back as a Shadow Knight, and that's how Zayn became a Shadow Knight. So we go back to modern time, and there are 3 Shadow Knights roaming around above the cave. And then obviously Zayn senses them because he is a Shadow Knight, so he's like, shit. So he goes up and fights 2 of them, and then one of them run away. He kills 2, one runs away, and he's like, shit, they found us. So he goes, I don't know why the fuck he does this. He goes down in the cave, and he's like, our space is compromised. So then he decides to burn all of the work Emilyn has done and leave. They run away. So Maou and Haley talk about their awful dates that they had. They're truly terrible ones. And one of the villagers like gets Haley and is like, Haley, there's a guard from Skystead here asking for you. And the guard of Skystead is like, hey, you're actually coming with me, and you're actually gonna go get married to Boulder soon. Real soon, actually. Yeah. And then Haley's like, well, I'm not doing that. And he's like, well, Lord Shauna said you have to, so like you kind of have to. And then she's like, no. And then all of the villagers are like, you're not taking Haley. Like, if you take Haley from us, we're putting up a fight. And he was like, we'll see what you say when the army comes. And then he leaves. And then Haley's like, okay, everyone get ready. We're going to the Phoenix Alliance Island. So then they start packing everything up, but then the Skystead army arrives. The Skystead army is here. And so Haley goes and knocks 4 of them out, and she tells Maou, she's like, get them all on the boat and get them ready to leave to the island. I can handle the army. So Mau's like, okay. So she is like, okay. So then Haley, she doesn't fight the army. By holding them off, she decides, like, the best thing for me to do without my people getting more injured, because they were all just attacked by Shadow Knights, is to just go to Skystead and get married. And then Lord Shauna announces the marriage between her and Boulder. Episode 24, a wedding dress. So it opens with Maou talking to one of the villagers, and they think she's Apple, and she tells them that she's actually Haley's guard, and they're like, whoa, that's cool. When did you become Haley's guard? Like, we haven't seen you. And she's like, well, actually, don't worry about that. So then it cuts to Emilyn and Zayn sprinting because, in the last episode, Zayn place got compromised. And Emmeline's just like, why am I running with this guy? I could totally run away. And then she was like, but I do want to learn more about Shadow Knight's relations to Irene. And she's like, well, what the hell am I talking about? So then she runs, she bolts in another direction, and Zayn tackles her and is like, don't you ever freaking do that again, or I will kill you. Point blank, period. And it's like, people just haven't tried that hard to find her. Well, I mean, maybe they have been trying to find her, and just that plot isn't as important as Zayn yelling at Emilyn to read harder. But I haven't seen any efforts towards it yet, which, I mean, there's efforts later, obviously. But it's just really annoying. So back to Maou, she is outside of Skystead, and an apple falls on her, and she's like, an apple. Apple, which reminds her of that time that, Nekowet gave Aaron an apple because she wanted to thank him for saving her. And then a man wearing a dress approaches her and is like, are you going to eat that apple? And she's like, no. And he's like, well, can I have the apple? And she's like, okay. Then he puts it under his dress to make boobs. And she's like, I'm not judging, but what the hell are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm disguising myself to break into the royal wedding because I want to steal food. And Aphma's like, you're breaking in. And he's like, yes. And she's like, can you break me in? And he's like, well, I mean, you're not very ladylike, but also that you're being really weird and really strange. What are you even doing under a tree? Are you a thief? You're definitely a thief trying to break into the royal wedding. And she was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm not a thief. And he's like, oh, that's exactly what a thief would say. And she's like, dude, I literally gave you an apple. Help a girl out. And if you don't help me, I'm going to go to the guards and tell them what you're up to. And he's like, okay, fine, I'll help you, but your dress is ugly and we are getting you a new one. So he helps Maou get a new dress, and they head inside. And Maou, she looks exactly the fucking same, just with a dress on. Obviously, it doesn't matter that she's Maou because people here don't seem to recognize her. People are going to recognize her as Haley's maid and be like, Haley's maid, what are you doing here? People know her as Haley's maid. That's still not a good thing. Whatever. So Maou finds Haley, and she's like, what are you doing here? And she's like, I'm here to break you out. And then the Lord enters, and then she pushes Maou into a closet. Haley and the Lord fight, and she's like, how are you suppressing my magic? And she pulls out this gem thing, I don't know, and goes on this whole tangent about how she's trying to catch all of the villages and become the Lord of all of the villages, and how she's starting with P-Girl Village, and she's going to make an army and basically be better than everyone. And then she calls Maou weak and says that she knows where one of the relics are. She just dragged Maou into this conversation. Maou had nothing to do with the conversation because she doesn't know that Lady Apple is Maou. She's just out here being like, I'm gonna be better than Maou because Maou sucks. Unwarranted insults. Then we cut back to Shad in the Nether, and he just complained about how he's just complaining about how he can't find Zayn. The usual. We cut back to Emilyn and Zayn, and they're on the outskirts of a forest staring at some children. And Zayn decides, well, where there's kids, there must be a village. So he goes up to the children and is like, you kids. And they're like, hello. And he's like, do you guys know where books are? Because, he burned all of their books. And then they're staring at Zayn. They got that Gen Z stare. It's okay, I have that too. It's more so a processing the weirdest questions. It's just I need to pause and think about what I'm going to say before I speak. Okay? So then they're like, okay, we don't know where books are, but we will take you to our village. And so he takes them to, the kids take them to this random village in the middle of nowhere. because of course a village in the middle of nowhere would have stuff. I don't know. He then introduces himself as Gareth and Emilyn as Amelia. To the kids, they're like, yeah, we don't know where the books in the village would be. We'd have to ask our parents, and we don't know where that is, so where they are. So good luck with that. And then they run away. Episode 25, Hero in Disguise. So opens up to Maou asking Haley about like, hey, what relic was Lord Jana talking about? And Haley's like, I have no clue what relic she was talking about. I have no idea where any relics are. Personally, other than like you, Elena, and Asmin's relic, I don't know where any of them are. And Afma's like, well, we need to figure out how she has access to one. I have my theories, kind of, but like, we never, the theory can never be proven or disproven, but I'll get to it when I get to it. So Haley's like, okay, so like you should go out there and seduce the guards with your hot bod. And Afma's like, I'm not doing that. You do that. And then Haley's like, well, I'm getting married. And Afma's like, so now you're getting married? You're getting married now and it's convenient for you? And you're going to make me go out there and talk about my hot bod? And then Afmao brings up her almost having to get married and is recounting, the most iconic plot of season 2 ever. just the throwback of the icon. I love that plot. I'm always up for like ruin the wedding plot. It's one of my favorites, frankly. I think they're fun. Maybe that says a lot about me, but I don't care. I think they're fun. So they finally decide that Afmao is going to find whatever is blocking Haley's magic, like that gem thing that Jana showed Haley. So she leaves, and then we go back to Emilyn and Zayn, I love that. And then guards approach them, and he's like, I've never seen you two before. What are you doing here? Emilyn's like, me and my husband, Gareth, are scholars, and we're just traveling the area for information on Irene. And he's like, well, all right, have fun in the town. If you need help, just ask, I guess. So we go to Dante and Kenmer finally fucking trying to find Emilyn after what's been 2 weeks? No, it's been more than 2 weeks. 2 months, maybe. 2 months, more like it. But them looking is just running around in the woods. That's how they're searching for her, is just running around the woods, because obviously they can't do that with their the heat signature goggles. That would be a waste of time, right, Kenmer? So Afmao continues to look for the location of the amulet orb thingy that is holding Haley's power, and Afmao runs into this guy again. You were not here for food. You're actually stealing shit. And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Then a guard walks in, and they're like, what are you doing here? What are you two doing being in here? You can't be in here. And then Afma's like, oh, I'm just so pretty and lost, and I got lost, and I'm pretty, and you're hot and stuff. Other guy in a dress walks in and smacks the guard on the back of the head with a frying pan. Then he looks over at the other guy and is like, Gary? And he's like, Gary? I don't know who Gary is. Who's Gary? And then the guy's like, wait, you were here to steal for the wedding. And then Gary's like, I literally have no idea what you were talking about. Then they start fighting about Gary stealing his idea and that he's dumb for using apples instead of oranges, because obviously oranges look more natural than apples. I think both of those answers are incorrect, personally. Then Gary's like, fine, you got me. I'm a freaking thief, okay? I'm here to steal. And he also says that he was actually going to use Afmao as an escape plan. His whole thing was he was going to steal and then blame it all on Afmao and then run away. And Afmao's like, what, why would you, what the fuck? Why would you do that? This guy hits Gary on the head and Gary passes out. The guard wakes up and the guy's like, and this guy's like, oh my god, thank god you're awake now. This thief was pretending to be a woman and I was so scared. And then the guard's like, oh, all right. And Afmao's like, yes. And Afmao's like, yes, you're so strong and brave for coming out with your story. so strong and so brave. And the guard's like, okay. And then the guard takes Gary away. And Aphmau's like, so like, why are you also a thief? Why are you dressed as a woman? And he's just like, well, I dress as a I dress as a woman so I can protect the women here from guards, because these guards are perverts and will not leave the women alone. And Aphmau's like, valid. Men are creepy. So Aphmau's like, I feel like I can trust you, but like in a weird way. Like, I don't know, I can't explain it. And then Aphmau tells him that there is a fake wedding happening, like the wedding is a sham. And he's like, whoa, I didn't know that. I would never let a woman get married if she didn't want to be married. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna help you break her out. I can't watch a woman get thrown into a loveless marriage. What a guy. Aphmau's like, what do I call you? And he's just like, just call me Lo. I don't tell people my name because it's all secret and stuff. And here's my theory. Lo somehow has one of the relics. Whose relic? I don't know. But I think he has one of the relics. And I say this because Aphmau says that she has like some weird connection and feels like she can trust him. And she like kind of was saying that about like Travis when she first met him. Like she was like, I feel like people are like, how long have you known each other? It just feels like you've known each other for so long. So my theory is that somehow Lo has a relic or doesn't know about a relic, or maybe he does and Jana knows where that relic is or something. I don't know. Either way, I think Lo is a divine warrior. And you can't prove me right and you can't prove me wrong because the story is never finished. So, episode 26. Leave her alone. I feel like some of y'all might be too young to know where that's from. Honestly, I might be a little too young to know where that's from. You know the Britney Leave Her Alone video? No one my age understands that reference. Does anyone out there get this reference? Let me know if you're around my age and get this reference, because no one I freaking know does. It's more of like a millennial like meme. I've just been on the internet for a very long time. So they walk down the hallway and then they run into the other women and they tell Lo that they're having an issue in like the kitchen with one of the guards, and he's harassing one of the women. So Lo and Aphmau go into the kitchen and the guard's like, you know, playing the nice guy card where he's like, well, I saved you from the woods, so like you owe me a date. Like you should go on a date with me. Like I saved you from the woods. Like if I didn't save you, you would probably die in the woods, and I saved you from the woods, so you should go on a date with me. Aphmau then lectures him about how she's a person and not his property, and she can do whatever she wants, and like he was just doing his job. Like, dude, your job is to save people. You didn't do it out of the kindness of your heart. You did it because, one, it's your job, and two, even if it wasn't his job, clearly he has some sort of ulterior motive towards it. And then he gets mad, and then Lo is like, you better respect my girls. Like, you better respect my girls. And then the guard is like, nah, screw this. And then Lo is like, I got dirt on you, and you know that. So get out of my kitchen, get away from my girls, and get out of my face. And then the guard leaves. Lo and Aphmau then give the girl a hot girl pep talk because she was like, maybe I should have gone on a date with him. He did save me. He has a stable job, and like my parents would be really happy. And then Aphmau and Lo were like, girl, no. If you don't like him, you don't like him. # girl boss. You're your own person. If you don't owe him a date. So Aphmau talks about how she dealt with something like what Haley's going through in the past. And Lo's like, yeah, my mom was in a very similar situation like that too. Anyways, let's go save your lovely Haley. Oh, my note didn't say lovely. It said Lord. I want to know more about Lo's mom. I want more elaboration on that. I feel like I just want to know more about Lo, and we never figure out anything more about Lo. Well, no, obviously we fucking do. That it goes on for 37 episodes. But it makes me sad we don't learn more about Lo's character, because I really like Lo's character. I also really like Leo Shant's character. Men are just written very well this season because they're not in love with Aphmau. They're written very well. That was like my main critique, I feel like, is all the men get so absorbed with Aphmau that they lose all their own character traits. And I think that might be why I like Leo Shant and Leo Shant and Lo so much is because of that. So we go back to Zayn and Emilyn, the dream team, and they're being led in by an innkeep into a room, and it's small, but for some newlyweds that isn't bad. And then Zayn gets mad at that comment, and then Haley asks where books are, and the innkeep tells Emilyn, there is a local library, but it is currently occupied by Tula guards, and no one can get in and out of said library. This is the only I don't know if they're by Okage or Falcon Claw or that general area, but there's no mention really of Tula occupying anywhere besides Okage in this entire season. So this is kind of the first time we've heard Tula occupying another village, if that makes sense. Zayn says that they are going to sneak in at night to look at the books. So it goes back to Aphmau and Lo, and they're in Haley's room, and she is like, I recognize you. You were here when I changed into my wedding dress. And he's like, oh yeah, right. Then Haley's like, you were a guy? What the heck? I changed in front of you. He was like, oh, sorry, I didn't look. And then Aphmau was like, he's gonna help me get you out of here. And Aphmau was like, Haley's like, oh, okay, I'm not mad. This is chill now. We're gonna make no political comments at all in the comments on this entire plot line. Please and thank you. Any politics mentioned in the comments will automatically delete it, because we're not here to talk about politics. We're here to talk about our love and Lord and Savior, Aphmau. Okay? If I see any mention of political comments down below, they will be deleted, because I don't want to deal with that on this channel. This is not a political channel, and I know stuff like this is a hot topic right now, but we're just not going to talk about that. If I see a political comment, it will be deleted. And if it is something hateful, you will get blocked. Point blank, period. Okay? So they all head downstairs, but they're confronted by 4 guards that pop out of absolutely nowhere. And they're like, a little birdie told us that you guys are here to break out Lord Haley. And that little birdie is Gary. And Lord Jana comes over and zaps them, and they all pass out. And says that they're all gonna be executed. Episode 27, Her Voice Within. Okay. Aphmau and Lo are in prison, and all of their clothes are taken off. And for some reason, Lo is like, I'll look away. I want to be respectful. And then Aphmau's like, no, it's fine. I'm confident in myself. I could give a shit. Aphmau is like, why does this happen to me? And then he's like, this has happened before? And she was like, yes. And he's like, should I be worried for you that this happens so much? And she was like, we can talk about it later. Don't worry about it. Apparently, the keys are in the dungeon, and the guards are talking about, they're like, well, we're going to keep these keys here in the dungeon, because these jail cells are just they're so you just can't break out of them. They're indestructible, and no one can ever break out of them, so we're just gonna leave them here. Lo tells Aphmau that we're probably being executed, because Jana sentenced them to being executed after she zapped them. Again, Aphmau, this is literally the exact werewolf storyline. Again, I love this storyline, so I'm not a hater. Aphmau asks Lo what type of person the Lord is, because Haley had talked before this whole drama crime incident happened, talked about how she was actually really nice to Pigaro Village. And Lo says that she's the only person that people ever remember being the Lord of Skystead, because she is the only Lord of Skystead, because Skystead is a combination of 3 villages. And are you gonna guess what the combination of those 3 villages are? It's the Neapolitan villages. We got vanilla, strawberry, and chocolate up in here, and it is now all together in Skystead. He says that she used to be a guard at one of the villages and was humble and a great officer. And Lo says that the only reason she is doing this is for the power, and her power is the only thing that's keeping the village safe, and there's nothing she wouldn't do to keep the village safe. Apparently, the way the lords are being picked is like different now, not elaborated on whatsoever. Let's continue. So there's a cute little cat in the jail cell, and they're like, oh my god, what if we get the cat to get the keys and bring it to one of us? So they're like, here kitty, kitty, bring us the keys, kitty, kitty, kitty. But then the cat's not doing it, so then they get progressively more and more aggressive towards this cat. Did that happen with a cat in Ocasis? Am I tripping? Something happened with a cat in Ocasis. Oh, when they were Mifwa. So Zayn and Emilyn break into the library at dusk. Zayn is like, because if we break into it at night, there's going to be more guards on patrol because they think people are going to break in at night, but we're breaking in at dusk. Genius. They sneak inside and then they fight about how Emilyn is approaching researching the Shadow Lord and blah, 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 blah. Who gives a shit? Aphmau and Lo complain about the cat because it's not listening because it is a cat, and then they're calling the cat dumb. Lo asks Aphmau if she has magic. She says no, but then there's like this voice in her head that's like, how many friends are you going to let perish before you use your magic? Great question. The guards go in Lo's cell and punch Lo because they were like, we liked you. Like, I was going to ask you out before I knew this. I feel so betrayed. Like, before I knew. They were like, we are here to teach you a lesson. Aphmau hears more voices in her head. And it's like, you don't want or know how to use these powers, so maybe you should just give up these powers because you're not using them, and maybe they should go to someone who will use them and knows how to use them. I said the same thing in like 3 different ways. So Aphmau uses her powers to break out of her cell, and then she breaks into Lo's cell, knocks out the guards, and then turns back to normal, and he's like, wow, you're full of surprises, man. Aphmau and Lo take their clothes, and on their way out, Lo yells at the cat and leaves, and Aphmau, before she leaves, is like, you'll do something good one day, cat. Just not today. Episode 28. 10 more to go. Emilyn kills. So Emilyn reads through books that she finds at the library, and Zayn is like, go faster. And she's like, how the hell do I do that? Again, we're back at the Zayn yelling at her to read faster. Then they fight more, and an old lady comes out from the shadows and is like, what brings you to the library at this time of night? And then they're like, oh my god. And then she's like, is it a night of passion? Wink, 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 wink. I'm just blinking at this point. Emilyn's like, ew, no, we're here for research. And then they argue more about the way Zayn treats her. Like, bitch, you're a prisoner. You don't have rights. You got kidnapped. He doesn't owe you anything. That sounds like a really bad thing to say. Obviously, I think kidnapping victims should have rights. But what I'm saying is, she's like, well, I deserve to be treated better. It's like, girl, what are we doing? What are we doing? And then she's like, I don't like the way you treat me. And then she's like, and I can speak to you however I want, because you're not gonna kill me because you need me, because Zayn fucking needs her for some reason. She's reading books, Zayn. You can read books. Then he slashes like her face. He like cuts her face, and he says that he will kill people if she doesn't continue and get done soon. Lo and Aphmau come up with a plan. Then they head out, and the guards say that they need to go check on the girls. Perfect. They go and tell the girls about what's happening and to leave, and also the girls were like, OMG, Lo, you're a dude, that's crazy. We would have never guessed. Lo and Aphmau make their way into Haley's room and are about to break her out, but then the Lord freezes them all. Guys, what is this? The 4th time? And then they go back and forth, and the Lord is like, haha, fear is better than being loved. Then she knocks Aphmau out, and then Haley screams Aphmau, and then Jana's like, Lord Aphmau? Oh, this is awesome. She can be the special guest at the wedding. Perfect. And then Lo is like, Aphmau? Because he's known her as Lady Apple, not Aphmau. Back to Emilyn and Zayn. Zayn kills the grandma because he felt like it, and he's like, she was more useful dead to me than alive, so like, keep working. And Emilyn's like, oh my god, and keeps working. Aphmau wakes up in an attic, and Jana's like, I won, you lose, and you suck. And then Aphmau's like, oh, my head hurts, and Jana's like, you need to stop complaining about your head hurting, because she didn't hit her that hard. Like, come on, Afma, you're being a wimp. Yes, you got hit on the head to the point where you were knocked unconscious, but doesn't that happen to us all sometimes? That happens to you all the time. So, like, suck it up. And then she's like, plus, I need my special guest to be at the wedding and fabulously dressed, of course. Afma was changed into said wonderful dress while she was passed out. She then threatens Afma and says that she is in control of her now because she knows what she looks like. Apparently, people in the region aren't super aware of what she looks like. She looks like Lady Irene. I think most people know what she looks like. But obviously, I guess not. Everyone thinks she's Lady Apple. Anyways, she's like, I know what you look like now. And so I actually hold your life in my hands. Afma goes to hit her, but then she pulls out Aaron's sword. Not Afma, Lord Jana. She pulls out Aaron's sword, and she says that Afma looks pretty when she sleeps, and says that she could be a mom. I'm gonna read this straight from here. She then says that Afma looks pretty when she sleeps and says that she could be a model and that her best artist had never had a better model. And she says, what a common looking girl, but so majestic. Now, what's going on with that? What's happening? Lord Jana is just praising how hot and beautiful Afma is. Like, oh, you look so common, but you would be such an amazing muse to my best artist. My best artist would actually love you, and you are a perfect model. Like, this is such a weird situation. Imagine being kidnapped, threatened by this woman who is forcefully marrying your friend to her son, and she's like, your life is in my hands now, but also, like, you are so gorgeous and beautiful when you sleep, and a model, and like such a muse to all of the artists out there. What is that? What's going on here? What's going on? Shauna leaves and Afma hears the voices again, and it says that there is a way out and that someone needs to step up and bring justice to the land. And she's like, it's like you doubt my power? And Afma's like, well, you're planning a massacre and I'm not about to massacre people. And she was like, and the voice is just like, well, what are you going to do then? And F was like, there's got to be a better way out. It can't end like last time, guys. Remember when the last wedding, the last forceful wedding she was at, a massacre happened? You remember? Because I remember. The voice is like, no, there's no better way. So we go to Jana, and a guard brings her communication stone, Afma's communication stone, to her. Says that she's going to look at it with her warlocks because she has a warlock apparently. And on the other end of the stone, it's like, it's ringing, ring, ring. It's like, Afma calling, is everything okay? And oh, Haley's actually getting married. So I'm at Haley's wedding right now. And Garth is like, OMG, great. Yeah, me and the girls are enjoying this sacred forest. Afma was like, how are Lilith and Elena? Like, quotations, Lilith. Hyria runs into the house and then chucks the communication stone onto the ground and smashes it. She's like, that wasn't Afma, that had like dark magic on it. Like, that's not Afma. And she says that they will be fine as long as no magic came through the communication stone. Jana goes back to Afma, and Afma's like, post my face, my headshot everywhere. I don't care. I'm not helping you. And then Lord Jana's like, oh, okay. Well, that sucks. You know what doesn't suck? Like, I could just go in the sacred forest and, get your kids. Like, that would be pretty cool. I could do that. I know they're there. I know where they are. And then Afma's like, okay, I'll go along with you then. And then we go back to Emilyn and Zayn. Emilyn is flipping through books while Zayn eats cookies from the old lady that he murdered. Zayn is like, man, I'm going to encourage you more. This is really fun. He is like, I'm going to go outside and encourage you a bit more. And then he goes outside to murder the Tula guards. And then he's like, if you don't come up with something soon, I'm just going to kill everyone in this village. Like, so... TikTok. Anyways, back to the wedding. It's wedding time. Boulder and Haley say I do. Afmal cries in the corner and the guard brings out Lo. She's like, I'm gonna make an example of him, and pulls out Aaron's sword. This bitch is about to kill Lo with Aaron's sword. All the girls storm in the wedding and they're like, this isn't his fault. Your guards harass us all the time. He was protecting us. And Shauna goes and smacks that girl in the face. She smacks the girl in the face. I have no clue what those girls thought was going to happen from them doing that. Maybe they thought he was getting executed because he's a man and was pretending to be a woman. Maybe that's where their logic was at. But it's like, what the fuck's that going to do? Just going in there and screaming that. Aphmau's stopping the corner, and then she's hearing voices, and then she breaks out of her restraint with glowing eyes and starts killing people left and right. Throwback to when she got this is just like the other wedding, isn't it? Like, this is just like that wedding. So then it cuts to Shad, and he's like, there you are, Irene. Then Aphmau is like, this is your only warning, let them go. Then Jana pulls out a stone and hits her with magic. Okay. Aphmau grabs it and grabs her, throws her to the ground. Lo breaks her stone. Haley knocks Jana out. She goes to Boulder and says, it's not me, it's you, and we need a divorce. Then they get a divorce. We finally get a shot of Dante and Kenmer finding Emilyn. Hallelujah. All right, episode 30, Zayn's Wrath. So Lo is back in his dress, and Aphmau's still passed out on the ground. Lo is like, what happened? And Haley is like, welp, she doesn't do weddings very well. Haley is like, we gotta move, and Lo's like, well, I gotta go get my girls, give me a second. We cut to Zayn, and he burned down the entire village, and he's like, I haven't had this much fun since Falcon Claw, because remember when he did that? We got a Falcon Claw throwback. We got a Falcon Claw throwback. And Emilyn runs out, and she's like, what have you done? What have you done? And Zayn says, don't ask stupid questions. Use your eyes. Honestly, that's a good comeback. I'm going to use that. That's a pretty good comeback. Don't lie. That's a really good comeback. Emilyn decides to slap him and call him a monster, because obviously that's going to make the situation better. And Emilyn's like freaking out, and Zayn's like, don't worry, I definitely didn't kill all of them. There can't be 30 of them. There's got to be more than 30, because I killed like 30 people. And he's like, I mean, you can have as much time as you need, because like you're the only one that can stop this, and I'm having fun. But you know, you can keep going, right? Then Emilyn starts yelling at him. Then he slaps her. Kenmer and Dante finally run up, and Dante's like, oh shit, it is Zayn. Dante is like, Zayn, what have you done? And Zayn's like, am I the only one with eyes? Like, what is wrong with people? Like, clearly I've just murdered like almost an entire village. Like, is it not obvious? Kenmer decides to play hero and run up to Zayn, and then Zayn pushes him to the ground. Dante then tells Emilyn to run in how they have him. Zayn is like, well, you know, I actually haven't visited the children yet, so maybe I should go visit the children. And then Emilyn's like, no, I have to stay, because he's just going to keep hurting people unless I do what he says. Dante asks a good fucking question and says, what do you specifically need from her? Then he doesn't answer, because he doesn't need her for a specific reason. Maybe he's just lonely, but maybe you should find a scholar that knows things about Shadow Knights. Zayn. Maybe? Just maybe? Dante's asking the real questions out here. Him and Dante fight. Emilyn yells at him to stop. Emilyn yells at Zayn to stop, and Zayn goes, if you talk to me like that again, I will cut your face again. Stop forgetting who you're speaking to. Like, come on, Emilyn. What is yelling gonna do? It's getting you nowhere. It's gonna nothing's happening, Emilyn. Literally nothing's happening. Kenmer grabs an iron sword and runs to Zayn, and then Zayn stabs him. Like, can everyone leave Zayn alone besides Dante? Let Dante deal with this. Jesus Christ. So stupid. Did they just want to like kill off Kenmer? I do not know what's happening right now. Okay. So Zayn celebrates and is like, yay, this night can't get any better, frankly. Lucinda appears and is like, hold up, Zayn, your night's about to get a lot worse. And Lucinda's like, give up before this bitch kills you. And then she shoots at Zayn, and he gets thrown against a wall. A little kid walks out, and he grabs a kid and is like, okay, let's all calm down. Let's all calm down. Let's take some breaths. Let's all calm down. I have a shield now. Emilyn decides to yell again. Like, she's like, I figured something out, Zayn, but you have to let the kid go, or else I'm not going to tell you, but I did figure something out. What you got is a fragment of essence. Boom, that's the knowledge. Okay, Zayn lets everyone go, then leaves. Still confused why he needed her specifically, and I will never stop saying that, because he apparently doesn't even know, because he can't answer Dante. Kenmer then grows and is like, did we do it, Dante? Did we get Emmy back? Did we do it, Dante? And Dante's like, yes, Kenmer. We got her back. And then Kenmer dies, so. Bye, Kenmer. You will be missed. Episode 31. The Truth. Zayn teleports him and Emilyn somewhere into the woods. Emilyn is crying, and he's like, oh my god, you're being so annoying, why are you doing that? And then he's like, oh right, yeah, I killed your husband. Silly me. He's like, tell me what you were talking about earlier. Like, I'm intrigued, you got my attention, I stopped killing people, I didn't kill that child. What were you talking about? And Emilyn's like, well, I'm not gonna tell you. Girl. He's like, tell me what you were talking about earlier. I want to know what you're talking about earlier. Then he was like, a depressed scholar is not a good scholar to me, but not completely useless. I mean, she'll be really easy to manipulate in this state, right? Okay, I'm gonna take a nap now. I deserve a nap. And then he takes a nap. All right. Cut to Dante and Lucinda, and they're complaining about Zayn. Dante is having a pity party, saying he sucks and he's a bad guard. Lucinda is like, hey, you held your own against a non-zombied Shadow Knight. Basically, like, not one of the brainless ones is what she's referring to. Like, some of them are just brainless, aka the background characters. Lucinda is like, we gotta care about the living right now, and we can mourn the dead after we take care of everything. And he's like, well, we have to go after her. And Lucinda's like, well, there's no use in that because they teleported. Like, they could literally be anywhere. The best we can do is just, like, send out a message to the entire region that Zayn has Emilyn and what they look like. So we cut to Maou talking to Aaron in a dream. And the voice is back. The voices in Mau's head are back. And she's like, I got some questions for you. And the voice is like, okay. And she's like, my whole life has been about you, but I know nothing about you. Like, who are you? What are you? And then the voice is like, go to the Enki library and you'll figure it out from there. So she wakes up and Haley's like, yo, chill, everything's okay. And Afma's like, what happened? And they're like, me and Boulder got a divorce. And then it cuts back to them threatening the priest to get a divorce. Lo returns wearing armor, and Haley's like, I swear to God, you're wearing different clothes. And Lo was like, no, I have no clue what you're talking about. Got me there. Got me there, man. But he did say he did bring a dress, and Afma was like, did you bring your oranges? And he's like, shit, no, I forgot my oranges. Lo says they need to be careful because Lord Jana is just never going to stop and try to find them to get her pride back. Afma tells Haley and Lo that they should go to the Phoenix Alliance Island, because that's probably the only safe place to be right now. Lo then looks at Afma and goes, what were you at that wedding? Afma's like, well, you've heard of me. And he's like, well, I've heard rumors of you that you're also Irene. And she's like, yeah, well, we'll see about that. What a response to that. What a response. As they're going back, Haley's like, I want to go to the Enki Island with you, Afmao. Like, I want to be as helpful as I can. Afmao's like, no, you can't. And then Lo's like, I want to go to the Enki Island with you, Afmao. And then she's like, oh, yeah, you can come if you want. Like, sure, 100% you can come. Okay. Then they all head to the Phoenix Alliance Island. Episode 32, Aaron's Sword. Haley gives Afmao all of her stuff back. Apparently, Afmao tried to run back to Skystead because she didn't have her stuff, aka like her bandana, Aaron's bandana and sword, which we don't see. It does not show, it is not shown that she runs back there. They just say that. And Lo's like, dang, I guess those things are important if you're willing to die over them. And I was like, that's a really, 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 really long story. Aphmau takes a communication stone and tries to call Hyria, but there's no response. She starts freaking out, but then Haley takes it and is like, oh, it's okay. They're going to be okay. There's no dark aura coming from the other side, so they're safe and perfectly fine. They probably just broke it or something, which is indeed what happened. Cut to the forest. Hyria and Garth are freaking out because they're well, not Hyria. Garth is freaking out because they don't know how to contact Aphmau, because he's like, oh my god, how are we going to update her? How do we know how she's doing? And then she's like, we'll just send a bird. And then Garth's like, a bird? A dumb bird? We don't know where she is. How is a dumb bird gonna know where she is? And then Hyria's like, well, it's a spirit bird, so it can find her. It's just gonna take longer than a communication stone, but it's gonna find her, so calm down. Haley, Lo, Aphmau, and the girls head back to the camp, the refugee camp area. And then we cut to Emilyn and Zayn, our dynamic duo, our favorites here on the Babbling Birdie channel. And Emilyn's crying, and she's like, well, maybe Kenmure came back as a Shadow Knight. And Zayn is like, I highly doubt that. I highly doubt Shad would choose him to come back as a Shadow Knight. I had to beg to be a Shadow Knight. I don't even think that man would be in the consideration to be a Shadow Knight. Zayn then goes on a whole rant about Aaron and how he talks about removing the relics, and to remove a relic you need a sacrifice. So Aaron, sacrificed himself to remove Esmond's relic from Zayn, and then just also decided to kill Zayn too. Whoa, shocker. So then Zayn goes on a whole rant about that, and about sacrificing and relics and blah 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 blah, all that fun stuff. Emilyn's then like, I'm not gonna help you because you killed my husband. Then she slips that Aphmau and Aaron were involved. Emilyn's got the loosest lips. You can't tell this bitch anything. And then he's like, give me that info. I want to know about that. I want to know about Aaron and Aphmau. And then she turns away and she's like, well, I'm not speaking anymore. And he's like, that's fine. I'll just kill more people in the morning. And then he goes, don't worry about Kenmure. He can't come back. He isn't worthy. And then goes to sleep. So Dante buries everybody in the town and tells Lucinda that they need to take the survivors to the Phoenix Alliance. Oh my god, so convenient. Aphmau and Haley and Lo are going to be there too. Perfect. Aphmau freaks out because she can't find Haley, because she's like, oh my god, Jonna came back and she took Haley. Oh my god. And it turns out Haley's just at the shore. So Aphmau approaches her and is like, we about to leave. And then obviously Haley's sad because she's leaving her village and all of those people were just killed. Because she almost had to get married. And then Aphmau just gives her a hot girl pep talk, and then they go on a boat and sail back to the Phoenix Alliance. Episode 33, Aphmau goes alone. So they make it to the island, and Haley is really hesitant to get off the boat. She's like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I want to get off. And Lo's like, why can't you get off the boat? What's wrong? And she's like, well, I'm a witch, and most people don't like witches. Most people are afraid of witches and they hate us. And Lo's like, oh, I didn't even think about that. Honestly, I forgot you're a witch. I look past that. And it's like, Lo, check your privilege, Lo. Check your privilege. Levin runs up and is like, Mommy. That's my Levin impression. And Levin sees Haley and Levin's like, where's the fuck is Levin? And Levin's like, oh my god, is Haley okay? And Aphmau's like, no, she's not. Levin then asks them if they've heard about Skystead, and Aphmau's like, what's being said about Skystead? There's apparently a white-eyed demon there that killed a bunch of people. He said apparently it kind of sounds like the person that saved me and Malachi when we were taken hostage by those bandits. And Aphmau was like, oh. He says that the people of Skystead and their allies aren't happy because they think it is treading on their freedom, and they fear that the Phoenix Alliance is going to have to get involved, which they don't want to. And Haley's like, I'm gonna go off and take a bath. And then Lo goes off to get his dress fixed. Aphmau talks to herself and is like, thank God nobody knows that was me. Boy, everyone saw you transform there. Like, if they saw your face, they'd be like, that's her. That's the demon. That's the white-eyed demon lady. That's her. That's the demon lady. Like, you are so, like, you would be so recognizable. Like, it's not like you shapeshifted into a dragon. You just looked like you with white eyes and angel wings. I'm not crazy for this take, am I? Caitlin and Travis pop up behind her. I thought they were in Brightport, which isn't addressed why they're at the Phoenix Alliance and not Brightport, whatever. Caitlin and Travis are like, so we heard that you're causing trouble. And then Aphmau's like, what are you doing here, Travis? Not asking why Caitlin's here. Because I swear to God, they both said they were going to Brightport. And Travis is like, oh, I'm just exploring my new freedoms. And then Aphmau goes, does the wind favor you by Caitlin's side? And Travis goes, oh yeah. And then Caitlin doesn't respond and she giggles. So they're like kind of dating, but maybe not dating. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Not me. Aphmau tells Caitlin about how she is going back to the Enki Island to go look at the library. Caitlin is like, Travis, you should go as well. And Travis is like, I actually am not going to go because I'm done with my family and I'm done with that whole part of me and I'm starting over and I'm starting new and I'm done with that. I'm not being a part of that anymore. Caitlin then brings up the rumors she's heard of Skystead, and Aphmau's immediately like, yep, that was me. That was me. And Caitlin's just like, still stirring up weddings, I see. I like how this is a running joke. Like, I really enjoy this. So Dante goes to Phoenix Drop. He took Kenmer's body to Phoenix Drop and has a burial there with Kawaii-chan, Dimitri, and Neko Wet. And they're like, hopes and prayers. And then Kawaii-chan's just like, Dimitri, you can call me mom. And he's like, and no response. And then Dante's like, Kawaii-chan, can I talk to the kids alone, please? And he kind of talks to them. He's like, this is the worst part about being a guard, is not being able to protect people. And they're like, well, you can't save everyone. These kids, they're like, well, you can't save everyone. And he's like, they're like, you can't save everyone. That's just impossible. And he's like, but that doesn't excuse the deaths. And they're like, well, you didn't need to be a guard. And he's like, what? And they were like, you chose to be a guard. Like, you didn't need to be one. You're doing it out of like the kindness of our heart. We all do. We want to do it to help people. I mean, those people wouldn't have been helped. Like, there are people out there that would be dead if you didn't help them. So you can't just focus on the death. You also have to like focus on the success. And he gets a hot girl pep talk about death from his children. What are they teaching you at that training camp? Episode 34, Hunting Emilyn. So it starts off with a title card that says, previous night before. It's the title card. Emilyn is looking at her books to see if there's any way back to bring Kenmer, and Zayn is sleeping, so she decides to sneak away and take her books. Dramatic music is playing. At first she's going slow, at first she's sneaking, and then she gets a flashback to Kenmer, and then she starts like running a little faster. A flashback to Kenmer. She starts running a little bit faster. Flashback to Kenmer. She's sprinting now. Girl is booking it. Off into the night she goes, into the woods, far away from Zayn. How stupid are you to fall asleep while your hostage hates you? I feel like Zayn isn't that dumb. What the hell's happening right now? I think they just were trying to come up with a way to get Zayn away from Emilyn, but it's like you had a chance in that episode to get Zayn away from Emilyn. I don't know. Lo catches up with Aphmau and is like, so those grown men are your children? And then she like explains to them the whole entire situation with her children, and they head to the docks, and then Malachi runs up to Aphmau and is like, okay, so Kenmer is dead. Aphmau's like, what? Kenmer's dead? What the fuck happened? Lo says that he'll stay and prepare the ship while Aphmau goes to deal with whatever is happening. So we go back to Emilyn, and she's running around the woods, and she gets caught by Finner Finner's like, who are you and what are you doing? And she's like, I'm lost. And he's like, well, I'm Finner, king of the southeastern wolf tribe. And she's like, you're Finner. And then he's like, interesting. And then he's like, guards, take Lost hostage. So then the guards go and take Lost hostage. I like that bit. That's a funny bit. And the guards, Blaze, he's the head guard, is just like, so like, why aren't we killing her? And he's like, well, a human knows my name, and I'm really curious about that, because why would a human know my name? That's not from like around here, clearly. Malachi also tells Aphmau that Emilyn was kidnapped, and then Aphmau rants about how much she hates Zayn, and then Malachi says that they're going to be putting posters of Zayn and Emilyn everywhere to try and spread the message. Aphmau's like, whose genius idea was that? But it sounded like it in a sarcastic way, but I don't think it was a sarcastic way, because then Lucinda comes from the shadows and it's just like, me, I'm that genius. And then Aphmau's like, oh my god, Lucinda, I've been looking for you everywhere. Aphmau is like, I'm leaving to go to the Enki island to look at books. And Lucinda's like, well, can I come? And she's like, sure, okay. But she said no to Haley. She says yes to Lucinda and Lo. Honestly, dream team. I love both of them. I think I like this pair. I like this group of people. They don't stress me out. And I'm sad that they only last for 2 more episodes as a group. Episode 35, Old Lovers and Past Crimes. So now they're on the boat, and Lucinda and Aphmau are talking about Lord stuff. Lucinda tells Aphmau that Haley told her everything, and Lucinda asks like, hey, why are we going back to the Enki island? And Aphmau's like, I think I missed something while I was there, so I just want to go back and check it out again. Lo is like, hey girls, I'm here too. Like, I want to talk, I want to gossip. And so they go over to Lo, because Lo is like manning the wheel, steering it, captaining it, whatever. And Lucinda's like, I could just put that on autopilot, right? And he's like, what? And then she puts on autopilot, and he's like, what kind of sorcery did you do to do that? That's amazing, you're so talented. And she's like, I just pulled this lever for autopilot. It's like a lever you pull. And he was like, there's been a lever for that, and you guys were letting me do this the entire time. And then they giggle, and then Lo sits down, and he's like, okay, can you guys like talk about yourselves? I want to get to know you better. And then Aphmau's like, all right, well, the last thing I remember was waking up lost in a forest. Starts from the beginning. We're starting from the beginning. Love that. Zayn wakes up, and he's like, what the heck? She left. Where did she go? It's almost like if you fall asleep, Zayn, and your prisoner wants to leave, she's gonna run away. Emilyn is like, let me go, guys. I don't want to be here. I'm no threat to you. And then he was like, well, we're on patrol, and actually we were on patrol to make sure humans stay away from us. And she's like, well, why? Like, I wasn't bugging you. Like, why does it even matter? And he's like, well, a lot of our people were massacred by humans, like many years ago, and we've never forgiven them from that. Throwback. So he leads her into the castle, and Emilyn's like, whoa, this is really extravagant. This is a really extravagant castle. And then he's just like, whoa, check your privilege. We don't live in caves. We don't all live in caves. That's a assumption you're making about us, and that's not an okay assumption to make about us. And she's like, oh, oops. And so he shows her to her room, and she's like, whoa, I'm not being locked up in a cell. He's like, until we know what you're doing on our land, we're just going to treat you as a guest in this castle. We're not going to throw you in a prison cell, because we do want to learn more about you. After Blaze drops her off, Finner then takes her to his chambers to interrogate her on how he knew her name, why she's here, etc., etc., etc. And then he's like, there's something familiar about your scent, but I can't quite put my hand on it. And then she's like, oh, I'm from Metelli. And he's like, okay, send her back to her chambers. So then she goes back to her chambers. We go back to Aphmau, and we're at the point in her life where she's talking about meeting Malachi, like in his castle. And she's like, I need a break. This is a lot of talking. And then he's like, no, this is just getting so good. What are you talking about? I'm on the edge of my seat. My boots are shaking right now. Lucinda is like, oh, it's not good yet. And he's like, this isn't the good part. She's like, wait until she introduces the love interest. And Lo is like, I love a romance story. Then asks Lucinda who she ends up with. And Aphmau is like, tell him, Lucinda. And she's like, nah, we're gonna stick to the story. But who does Lucinda end up with? Are they talking about the time where they had to kill her ex-boyfriend? That's the only thing I can think of. Because, like, that is a dramatic story. I don't know. I'm confused by that part. We go back to Emilyn, who's talking to herself. She decides she's going to try and break out. Then she tries to open the door, which is, of course, locked. Hello. Then outside the door, they start to talk about Aphmau and how they sent wolves out to hunt her. He then is like, I want her to marry me or die, whichever is more horrid for her. Boy out here sounding like Zayn, first season. Remember when Zayn wanted to punish her by marrying her? Remember that? Which it's like, listen, as I've been saying, I love a forced marriage trope, wedding break, people getting murdered. Like, that's one of my favorites ever in Minecraft Diaries. But it just happened. Can we not do it again? Good news, it doesn't happen again because the story ends in two episodes. We have 2 episodes left. Episode 36, Lucinda's mistake. So they make it to the island and then they talk about the island and Lo is like, it's cold. How are you guys functioning here? And Lucinda's like, my ex had a thing for the cold. And Aphmau's like, I'm used to the cold, ruthless world we live in.
All right, me too, girl. I love to eat too.
Lo is being sassy, but then says magic instead of witchcraft. And then Lucinda gets mad because he is so insensitive and doesn't know the difference between them, of course. And then they go to stock up on clothing and food and then head to the library. Lo says that he didn't grow up in Skystead, so he isn't used to the snow there because Skystead, I guess, has snow. I don't remember it having snow. Maybe it had snow. And then Aphmau's like, well, where are you from? And he's like, well, that's a really long story. I don't know if we have time for that story. Which it's like, boy, he's like gaining all of this information about Aphmau and he hasn't even told them his real name yet. His real name isn't Lo. Remember, he was like, just call me Lo. You don't need to know my real name. People don't know my real name. Okay. Villagers are gossiping about Travis and are like, we should have killed him a long time ago. The world is so much better now. Then Aphmau goes up to them and is like, Travis fought for your freedom and for your rights, and you should be grateful for Travis. Lo goes over and is like, okay, guys, no one deserves to be talked about this way. Lo is like a saint. Oh, because I would have done what Aphmau did and go over there and beat their butts. That Team Aphmau, I would have gone over and yelled. I've done this before and I would do it again. I stand up for my friends. I stand up for my buds. I stand up for those who I love. Team Aphmau. Lo is saying that people here are ignoring the facts to make themselves feel better and mysterious, and Aphmau is like, Lo, is there something I should know about you? And he's like, no, and then leaves. I wish we found out more about Lo before the series ended. Why did we not learn more about Lo before the series ended? It literally makes me so fucking sad. Anyways, so Emilyn is talking to herself about how she cannot let anyone know that she is friends with Aphmau, and she remembers that Aphmau said, Aphmau told her what happened, when Lawrence murdered a bunch of people for her. A maid comes and starts to clean, and she's like, how did you make this place such a pigsty already? You've been here for an hour? And then she's like, you also smell gross. How do you also smell so gross? Then she starts crying. Emilyn starts crying and talks about how her husband was just murdered and how she's really sad and how she smells like blood. And then the maid's like, oh my God, go take a bath and I'm going to get you some food. Who walks into a room talking shit like, oh, you smell so bad. Oh, this room is a pigsty. The only person that's allowed to do that is my dad, okay? Or my roommates. Only people that can call my life a pigsty and that I'm smelly, okay? Lucinda sees a kid's ball in the water, so she uses her witchcraft to get it out of the water, for she's been around people for so long that are comfortable with witchcraft. And the kid starts freaking out, and then a whole bunch of people come over and start yelling at Lucinda, and she's like, oh damn, I forgot this is the reaction to witchcraft. Aphmau and Lo run up and all of the villagers are yelling at her, and Lo is like, okay, close your eyes, guys, and I'm gonna flashbang them. And then he flashbangs them, and they run away. What? Why does Lo have a flashbang in his pocket? What are we doing? What are we doing here? And we've made it to the last episode. Episode 37, Secrets of the Library. So Aphmau gives Lucinda a hot girl pep talk about how, like, it's okay that you're a witch. It shouldn't matter what they think. And she's like, oh, I don't give a shit. She's like, I really don't care. I've been dealing with this my entire life. I do not care. And then Lo is falling far behind, and he's just like, sorry, I'm trying to cover a track so people don't follow us. And also this thing's really heavy because I forgot to mention when they went to go buy clothes and food, Lo did buy out the entirety of the store because he was paranoid they wouldn't be warm enough and have enough food. Lucinda offers to carry her things, but he's like, no, don't worry. You have the weight of stress on your shoulders from the encounter in the village. Let me carry your things. What's going on? It's like he's written to be such a gentleman, but obviously he's a nice guy. Like, what is happening? I think I've met 2 men in my entire life that I think would act this way. They are a rare commodity, not in a pick-me way, in a very friendship way. So they enter the library, and Lucinda and Aphmau look around, and Lo's like, I'm gonna make us some grub because I do not know what we're looking for, and I'm just here for the journey and to make friends. Lucinda tries to open some of the books with her witchcraft, but it does absolutely nothing. And she's like, well, this is gonna be a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. So Emilyn is reading The Guard's Blaze. He comes over and he's like, so Lost, like, what were you doing alone in our woods? Like, what were you doing? She's like, I told you I am a traveling scholar. And so there's 2 guards in this room. They kind of start talking about Aphmau, and the other guard in the room's like, oh my god, show her your drawing. Maybe she'll know who you're talking about. Like, maybe she'll have an idea of who it is because she's a human. Maybe from that, like, area because she smells similar. Show her your drawing. You're really good at drawing. So Blaze is like, oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. Okay, here's my drawing, and I'm gonna put it up on the screen. Hilarious. But the thing is, like, Aphmau is the monster in the photo, but she's not the one that killed people. That was Lawrence. I don't know. I mean, obviously she was, like, a part of it, and she was the reason he was doing it. I can understand where the anger is from, but she didn't kill anybody. Emilyn says, why don't you leave Aphmau alone? She's not hurting anybody. She just wants to live in Phoenix Drop in peace. You need to get Aphmau's name out your damn mouth. That's what you need to do. Stop talking about her, okay? Oh my god. I genuinely think she's an idiot. Like, just because you read books does not make you smart. Emilyn is an actual dumbass. Zayn comes across some bandits, and a woman is running to him asking for help, and then the bandits are like, you don't want to get involved, and he's like, you're right, I don't. And then he walks away, and the woman's like, what the fuck? And they decide, okay, wait, let's go up and harass this guy. So then they go up to try and harass Zayn and take his armor, and he's like, this isn't armor, this is a shell. Oh my god, this is where they mention it's a shell, because I was talking about that in the last episode, that his armor is a shell. That's so weird. Then the lady thanks him for killing the bandits because he kills the bandits because he gets annoyed, and he was like, no, and then just like kills her and then walks away. So we go back to the library, and Aphmau gets a flash of Irene holding magic with a burning portal behind her. Lo was like, hello, are you okay? I think people should stop doing that when she zones out, because then they just like bring her back from these like little peanuts that are being left behind by Irene. You know what I mean? Like, people should stop asking if she's okay if she zones out. I feel like that should be a new rule, but obviously it can't be a new rule because this is the last episode. I almost don't want to finish this. Lucinda almost starts a fire because she's trying to open a book, and then she almost does it, but then like a fire almost happens. So literally almost burns the entirety of the Enki library to the ground. Aphmau touches that book. She gets a flash from one of the divine warriors named Menthia, and she tells Irene that she wants to go to the Tula region. She's like, I'm not meant to be a divine warrior. You can take your relic back. I'm so sorry. And she's like, no. you're good. You can keep it. If you need me, call me. And Afmao then goes, I think we need to go to Tula. And then the series ends. We end on that. That is where we end. Just when it was getting good. By that I mean Emilyn and Zayn are finally split up. Jesus Christ. Okay, we're gonna ignore all of this. And if I'm looking down at my phone, it's because I'm trying not to ramble, because this is like the 10th time I've tried to record this and I keep rambling. So this is gonna be final thoughts on season 3, but also like generalness at the end of Minecraft Diaries. So I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion. I liked season 3. I don't think it was terrible. I don't know if people out there think season 3 is terrible. I didn't hate season 3. I liked all the characters that were introduced in season 3. I definitely understand that there was a lack of direction of where things were going. I think as the season like went on, there was it was a little more clear about that, because it just kept introducing new things. Like there were so many things being introduced like all the time. Nothing felt really resolved. I'm trying to think of a major plot point that was resolved, and I can't really think of any. There's not like the only thing that resolved-ish was Emilyn being free of Zayn, but even then that wasn't resolved. What was that resolution? Kenmer getting murdered, Emilyn running away. Moving on to the me absolutely despising the B plot and there being no redeeming qualities for me besides Dante and Jean lore. I really enjoyed Dante as a character, besides like those like 10-ish episodes I hated him for season 2. But I was really interested in that. It was nice to learn more about the Dante and Jean lore, because I think those are interesting characters that can carry a B plot, but Emilyn cannot carry a B plot. Zayn did not seem like himself when he was with her. Like, I don't know if that makes sense. Like, Zayn, his whole thing, manipulating people, wanting power, kind of ruthless, cold-hearted, literally could give a shit about people. But he also, to me, seems like a lone wolf. Everything he does, he's kind of always done alone, because he just manipulates people. If someone's with him, he's manipulating them. Like the Lord of Scales, when they were working together, but Zayn was manipulating him the entire time while they were working together. But like when Zayn kidnaps Emilyn, one, it makes no sense, because she literally says she knows like nothing about this stuff. She only knows stuff about Irene, and she really gives him nothing. The only thing she really like tells him that has to do with the fragment, it's a fragment of essence. Like that's kind of all she learns. And then after he almost gets discovered by Shadow Knights, he takes her with him, and that made no sense to me. Like I feel like a normal Zayn, like he burns all of his books. I feel like he'd want to murder Emilyn to silence her, but also it just doesn't make sense having her. I think the only Zayn thing that made sense this entire like B plot was him literally killing and murdering almost an entire village to try and get Emilyn to do what he wants, because the entire time he just didn't seem like he was manipulating her by like being like, I'm gonna kill your husband, or I'm gonna kill you. Like, yeah, that makes sense, that is very Zayn core, but I don't know, it just didn't feel like Zayn would bring someone along like this if they didn't immediately have information. I don't know if that made sense, or maybe this is a hot take, but if it is a hot take, that's my take. Zayn just didn't seem like his full self. I don't know. New characters. I liked the new characters. I really like Lo. I really like Leo Shant. I wish we knew more about Lo. I'm convinced Lo is a descendant of the Divine Warriors, and no one can tell me otherwise. I think it was leading to Lo discovering he was a Divine Warrior when they went to Tula, because one of those Divine Warriors went to Tula. Memphis. That's a city in Tennessee. Menfia. I don't know. Like, that's where, in my mind, that was going, was that he was a Divine Warrior, and we were going to discover that when we got to Tula. I think where the Wolf Tribe and Skystead story was going is, I think the Wolf Tribe and Skystead were going to come together and start a war, because they both hate Afmao, because she was a part of a massacre at 2 separate weddings. But also, to me, that wouldn't even make sense. Well, the war thing would make sense, but Aphmau's going to Tula, so she wouldn't even be in the region while this war is even happening. So I feel like a big thing was definitely leading Aphmau into a completely different region. Kind of, it's a huge decision. I feel like then the Wolf Tribe's Skystead thing would go not anywhere. Or it would go places, but they would both want Aphmau, and she's in the Tula region. I don't know. That was my theory of what happened there, but it's like, where would that even go? Anyways, it's kind of clear that there wasn't a complete direction of where things were going, which was one of the main reasons it got canceled. So I guess let's talk about kind of like the downfall. Like I said, one of the main issues was lack of direction from Aphmau. Like, she didn't know where it was going to go. She didn't like where it was going. She was losing motivation for it. And once you lose motivation and, like, a mojo in a story, it's really hard to get back in there. Like, trust. I know. I have a Minecraft roleplay. And I think one of the biggest issues with writing something as you're publishing it, which, like, clear in my mind for mine, I have a conclusion of where I want it to go. So everything I do is building up to that conclusion. A big thing when it comes to like a Minecraft roleplay, which is a very much like personal project, well, at this point it was like a whole production team, is like, let's say I write something and then I post it. So it's like right now I posted episode 38 of my roleplay. Episode 38 has been posted, and right now I'm writing episode 41. But let's say I'm writing episode 41, but then there's something in 38 that completely contradicts the way that I want the story to go. Now I'm stuck with that being canon. I can't take that back. Like, I'd have to come up with something super elaborate to take that back, which would be really, really hard. So there's definitely something like that can get in the way of, like, that can block you as a writer, and is definitely one of the downfalls of posting something while you're writing it, is like, once it's there and it can't be changed. Leads me into the crazy shipping wars that was happening with Minecraft Diaries. Oh my god, that shit was like Twilight level. I'm not even kidding, except with 3 guys instead of 2. Like, it was absolutely insane. People were so mean to each other, like, so mean. Like, I have said this in the past, I wasn't the biggest shipper of people. For me, my biggest ship was Dante and Nicole. Like, those were the people I shipped. But like, I'm not even kidding with how violent people were getting. Like, people were mean about it. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And I think there's something, like, obviously that's going to be a thing no matter what you do, but I think there's something about writing a story actively while this crazy shipping wars is happening that is really, really tough. Like, really, really tough. Like, at this point in season 3, you can tell Aphmau was like, she was over it. She didn't want the shipping to happen. She was over all the relationships, which I was really happy about, because those were kind of my least favorite parts about the series, was sort of that. But I think the main difference between, like, let's say you're writing a story and there's shipping wars between that, is you're not actively hearing it when you're writing it. Like, you're not actively getting harassed while you're writing it. And I also think on, like, YouTube, there's a comment section right there. People can harass you straight on the video, and it's happening all the time. It's probably in her DMs all the time, and I can't imagine how annoying that will be, and how much motivation I will lose in writing, because people are telling me how to write my own story, and how I want to try and please everyone with the story I'm writing so people will continue to watch it, but then that makes you lose the passion that you have for that story, if that makes sense. But I just can't imagine dealing with the comments and trying not to like be influenced by the comments that are happening. I don't know if anything what I just said makes sense, but it makes sense to me as someone that is actively writing one, where it's like you want to try and please people, but then you being told how to write a story, like, really makes you lose a lot of connection to it. We can also talk about the low viewership was definitely another big reason it like moved on to another channel because of like the low viewership. And I think, me personally, when I was like in middle school when this was coming out, around season 3, I was about 15, and I mean, I started watching it when I was like 12. So like 12 and 15 are very different ages, and you have very different interests. But also, I was 14/15 or in like 2016, 2017, which was like peak cringe era, like internet cringe era. Like, you got bullied for what you watched. I mean, I'm sure that happens still to this day. But like back then it was like, oh my god, if it was cringe, crucifixion. Like, it was bad. And so I was getting made fun of for liking Minecraft Diaries. So I was like, I don't even like this. And at the time, I wasn't a huge fan of season 2 as well. And then season 3 moved to another channel. So I kind of just stopped watching it. Once it was around episode 20, probably, is when I started watching it like up to date actively while it was coming out. But I think things like that was an issue. Was like, just, I also was 15. Like, I was into different things. Like, I still would have liked to not be made fun of for liking Diaries, and I did end up going back and watching it. But also, I was 15 where I started watching at 12, so I think there's also, people were just aging out of it, and just the way it was written, it's like kind of hard jumpstart new, because it's like, if you didn't watch the first season or second season, you're confused as hell. Does that make sense? Like, it's hard to join something in. And I remember My Street, like, I never watched My Street all that much, but from what I do recall, it wasn't something that, like, at least in the beginning, it wasn't something where you need to watch the episode before. Like, you could kind of watch an episode and not completely understand what happened in the last episode. I don't know if it got more episodic or less episodic, like, as it went on. No clue. I wasn't super into it. And the reason I wasn't super into it is because I blamed it for the downfall of Minecraft Diaries, which, to be fair, it definitely was a reason, because My Street was a lot bigger, and so obviously she was going to put more effort into the like bigger IP, which was My Street, whereas Minecraft Diaries was dying down. The fan base was fairly toxic, and she was just losing passion writing it. So I did have that was a big reason I never watched My Street, and I still do kind of hold a grudge to it to this day for this exact purpose. But obviously I was like younger at the time, and I solely thought it was My Street's fault. But as an adult, I understand there are a lot of factors into it, and after writing a Minecraft roleplay, there are a lot, like, I can understand that, because basically what I'm saying is, like, the downfall of Minecraft Diaries was kind of inevitable with the way everything had been going. Yeah, so that was the downfall area. Now this is my Q&A conversation section. What was your favorite Diaries season? When I think of Minecraft Diaries, obviously there's 3 seasons, but also I think of them 3 completely different roleplay eras. Like, they are different eras of roleplay. Like, there's, like, you know how an episode there's like the classic Ink and Limelight? Minecraft roleplays have that, if that makes sense. I feel like we should definitely come up with a name for the different eras. Like, obviously the classic, but then it's like, what's after classic? Because there's like 4. Four-ish, 3-ish, 4-ish. So like season 1, classical Minecraft roleplay. Season 2, it's classic, but it's also like a little upgraded. Like, we have voice acting. There's not as much like Minecraft involved. Like, there are other people like being the players now. Like, it's higher production. And then there's like the 3rd area, which it's like almost like a TV show. I feel like we should come up with a name for that. I don't know. My favorite season is season 1. Maybe that's because it was obviously the like huge nostalgia I have for it. But even then, like, if I discover a new Minecraft roleplay in this day and age of 2025, I am looking for more of a classical style, just because I like it more. I mean, my Minecraft roleplay is more of the classical style. I'd say it's on the verge of classical 2nd gen. It's just me doing it. Like, it's just me, myself, and I still have like Minecraft aspects in there, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I just like the classical version once it gets to like a certain production value, it doesn't even feel like Minecraft anymore, and it feels more so like a TV show, and there's nothing wrong with that. I love my inner demon. Like, I watched Aphmau's more modern role plays. Like, I'm not anti those. I just personally find more charm in the classical era of role plays. What's y'all's opinion? Do you agree with the little charm that will never be able to be achieved? I think we talked about this in season 2. When we kind of talked about in season 2, is just season 1 just has this charm that can never, I feel like, be recaptured. But what's your favorite season and why? I also forgot to ask, what's your opinions on season 3? Did you like the Emilyn B plot? Anyways, that's the end of this diary series. This has been a year-long journey, guys, and it's finally come to an end, and it's quite sad. But you should still watch the stuff that I post on my channel. It's not all going to be Aphmau related. The next, or Minecraft roleplay related, or Minecraft replay related. Right now, my next thing is Minecraft Once Upon a Time, which is a Minecraft roleplay from the classical era of Minecraft roleplays, which I highly suggest you watch. And if you don't watch it, I guess wait like 2-3 weeks for me to talk about it. I don't know. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like and subscribe. If I could get to 500 followers on this channel, that'd be pretty sick. And if you like classical styled Minecraft roleplays, go check out mine on my channel, Chai Noodles, link down below, and I will see you all in the next one.